Why do we choose to do the things that we shouldn't? So, in today's episode, what I want to talk to you guys about is there was a great discussion that I had with a coaching client, and I really believe that she's really going to pull through. But I want to highlight this discussion that I had with her simply because I believe this is something that many of us go through, and I also believe that we don't really know why we go through it. So, in the discussion, me and this lady are having, it boils down to I've given the instructions for her. We have videos, we have workbooks, we have screenshots, we have arrows that say point here, point there. We have step-by-step instructions on what to do. And so more specifically, this is in reference to increasing revenue, more clients, more customers, more purchases, etc. So we have the what, right? And we have the how. We know what tools we're using, etc. Well, what happened with her, and what I've noticed happens with many people, is that we seek the knowledge, right? We go after the what. We go after the how. What we don't have oftentimes is the why. The reason behind why we're doing the things that we're doing. And so what I've noticed is that when people are not taking the actions that they say that they need for the results that they claim that they want, it has nothing to do with the actions itself. It has everything to do with misalignment. And that misalignment boils down to who you are and what you want. And I don't mean who you are as far as your name. I mean who you are as far as how you choose to identify both internally and externally. How you choose to identify how you see yourself internally, and then also how you present yourself externally to others. Here's an example. Someone says that what they want out of their business is an additional $40,000 per month. Great. We have a roadmap in which we're going to follow for the 40,000 additional per month of revenue. Yet, every Monday morning, when you sit down and you begin to actually do the work, or you tell yourself you're going to do the work, you don't. You don't. You don't take that action. You don't make that phone call. You don't send that follow-up message. You don't. And it has nothing to do with the actual roadmap. It has everything to do with the fact that the internal is fighting against going after what you want. And here's the thing. If we have the right vision of ourselves, we're never going after anything. We're simply attracting what we already are. And so if you are this new business owner who has the business that generates 100,000 per month, the question comes in, what does that look like for this new you? If this is your 2.0, what does it look like for your 2.0? What are the activities that Mr. and Mrs. 2.0 is doing on a daily basis? Are your actions or your activities mirroring that? Are your actions and activities in anticipation for that? Because we're only going to bring in what we choose to be. So if we're not going after what we want, it has more to do with our misalignment and ultimately saying that we don't feel or believe or even, dare I say, see ourselves as deserving. We don't see ourselves as that 2.0. We see ourselves as 1.0. We see ourselves as beta. We see ourselves as a sample testing. We see ourselves as 5% instead of 100%. Here's what we have to change for this. We have to analyze what is in our ground. Because Having knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Many of us spend money on knowledge. You look up for something that says how to make more money, you go after that, you buy, you invest into that. When all along, lo and behold, it's not the knowledge alone that changes it. It's the action, the implementation of said knowledge. And here's what I mean. Wisdom and knowledge are not the same, although one does require the other to work. Wisdom and knowledge are not the same, although one does require the other to work. You can actually, and I'll get let's take a little step further. You're going to need some knowledge. You're going to need general knowledge, period. But if you're willing to take the action, intuition, spirit, God, the nudge, that thing that you have to do something, that will fill in the gap as long as you're willing to take the action. The biggest frustration and the biggest fear that anyone's going to have is going to be taking that first step to something new, breaking that barrier. Wisdom and knowledge are different in this regards. Wisdom is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. So you have a higher standard of knowledge. Excuse me. Knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. So you have a higher standard of knowledge, because most people don't know that. Most people don't know that a tomato is a fruit, right? They have no idea that it has seeds, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So we all know now that a tomato is a fruit. That is a higher level of knowledge that most people just don't know. The wisdom knows when to use certain types of knowledge and when not to. Wisdom knows when it's applicable and when it's not. Your intuition knows when to turn left and when to make that phone call. That's your intuition in action, right? That's your wisdom. Wisdom knows that, yes, although a tomato is a fruit, I would not use a tomato in a fruit salad. That's the difference. How many fruit salads, right? How many melodies of fruit salads or fruit entrees do you see that don't have tomatoes in them, right? Why? Because the taste, et cetera, it doesn't blend, blah, blah. That's the difference between wisdom and knowledge. Wisdom does not work if there's not corresponding faith or corresponding action with it. In other words, you can have all the knowledge, and you can, in many cases, be paralyzed by having a plethora of knowledge. But if you're not willing to apply that knowledge, it will diminish and become useless. There was once a time where certain platforms, let's say Facebook, was a primary source of people's revenue. If you purchased all of the Facebook courses on how to make money on Facebook, right? All the courses on how to make money on Facebook, and you never utilized them. 10 years later, Instagram comes out. 15 years later, whatever, TikTok comes out. And now people are moving to another platform. And the knowledge that you have is diminishing because it's less and less applicable. Knowledge is only as good as quick as you're willing to implement it. Because all things change. All things change, yet all things remain the same. That's how knowledge works. If you're not going to apply the knowledge quickly, it quickly will become useless. You have to have wisdom. Wisdom comes by action. Faith without works is dead. Wisdom, another definition for wisdom is applied knowledge. And I add this caveat, wisdom is knowing when and how to apply the knowledge that is available. And in some cases with intuition, knowledge that you're not even aware is available from the very beginning. So here's the challenge for you. And if you're still listening as we wrap up on this, here's my charge to you. If you have the knowledge of a thing, whatever that thing is, if you have the knowledge of the thing, you owe it to yourself to apply said knowledge. It is no longer okay. It is no longer permissible for you to say, oh, yeah, I know how to do that, and yet you don't have the results. If you know how to do it, and here's a difference here, because of the words, gnosko, know, and etc. There are, in English, we just use this word know very, loosely. But in other languages, like let's say Greek, there's different levels of knowing or of knowledge to know something. There's a level of, I know something to where I'm aware of it. I know something to where I've experienced it. I know of something to where I have an intimate, multi-level relationship with it. Many of us know of something till we have very vague awareness. You need to spend time through action to have that know to elevate to a point to where that knowledge is now wisdom, to where you know something on an intimate level, to where you know something that now is based on not just head knowledge, it's based on experience and living through it. That's the only way that those things work. That's how it has to work. Point blank, point period. So my charge to you is, if you know what you should do to grow your business, if you've been to all the cohorts and all the master classes and all these other things, and you know what to do, my charge for you is to take one item, one course, and to truly apply wisdom to where it is now going to be successful and actual fruit in your life, a true and full manifestation. If you say, hey, I'm still having an issue with doing that, we now know that it has to deal with the identity of self. The reason you're not taking that action is because you don't identify as the individual that has that relationship with that thing. We now have to choose to identify the new identity that we want and choose to put that on. Just like an actor will choose to put on a role or a character that they're playing. They spend time and they practice that over and over again. You, from here on out, have to do the same. If you're wealthy and you live in a shack, that is okay. But from this very moment, you have to choose to put on the identity of that person that has opulence and wealth. That means you are going to choose to eat, when you can afford it, different places. You're going to choose to go to different areas. You're going to choose to sit at different parks. Whatever the level that you're currently at, you're going to do the best you can in that new identity until you have the full manifestation of that. But that requires you to take action and to actually do something. Hope this helps. I'll see you guys in the next one.